Hey guys, welcome to the second installment of Listen Kid. This is the new podcast that I am starting. Of course, it is a sports talk. I'm gonna have different people, in terms of NBA, NFL, even baseball. Within the coming weeks, I am getting all the technical stuff handled. Have to get the website, the web hosting, a couple different things. Hopefully, I can get this all done by the end of the year. If not, look for it coming up in early January. The whole Facebook page and getting all that stuff set up. But let's get right to the chase here. I have a couple of topics that potentially we'll get to, if not just one, depending on time, how we do here. But the first topic at hand: did the Dallas Cowboys catch fire too early? And what I mean by that is, are they playing at the best of their potential at the wrong time? And I think the answer is just unequivocally yes. It definitely. We Where do I get this from? Okay, some people might say, dude, if you're playing good and you're really tearing up this league, I mean, why is that a bad thing? And quite frankly, it's not a bad thing. I just think you need a couple losses here and there to keep the players humble, keep that chase, keep that work ethic going, keeping it positive, so that you can make it through the adversity that is gonna inevitably come up here in the playoffs. Let's talk about examples, right? I talked about sample size. 2007 Patriots. What happened to them? Man, they ran the table. The season was incredible. In the playoffs, just no one can touch them. Then they get to the Super Bowl. Here it comes. They're gonna win, and then Eli Manning happened. But he didn't just come out of nowhere. No, they weren't having the best season, and the man caught fire. I always like to track it down to the last four games of the season. It doesn't matter what happened, in the first part of the season or in the middle part of the season. The last four games is where you need to catch fire. That's where you need to start getting and hitting everything in the right cylinders. There's no flip that you can just switch when you get to the playoffs. These guys, the Cowboys, hit that switch in a sense. Like in week 4, week 5, and they haven't let up. The only bad game that they had, they played one of the worst offenses in the NFL. They played the Vikings with Sam Bradford, McKinnon, Asiata. All these guys are horrible, man. I mean, I can't, man, you might as well call them college football. That's how bad it was. The Cowboys played a bad offensive game. They put up 17 against a very good defense. But they should have lost that game. And you know what? It would have helped them if they would have lost that game. It humbles them. You come back and now you're going to go play the Giants and you get that fire in you. You know you're not invincible. That's what you need if you're going to go up and win the Super Bowl. That's example number one. Example number two. Last year, the Carolina Panthers running the table. These guys were on fire. And even before last season, the season before that, they were on fire. They had such a long winning streak. Everybody was dabbing. I was dabbing. My wife was dabbing. My dog was dabbing. Everybody was dabbing. It was that good. It was that intense. But you gotta stay humble. They didn't get the losses. They had a loss at the end of the season. It was awkward. It was tumbling. It was against the Falcons. It just didn't feel good. I don't know. That loss rubbed you the wrong way. It just wasn't a good loss. I know it's such a weird statement. A good loss, but it was. And then what happened in the playoffs? It was just outright embarrassing what happened to them. And then what's happening this year is just a whole different story. But that's what I'm talking about. If you look at the past 10 years, the past Super Bowl champions, with the exceptions of the Giants, which they're just in a whole different league of their own. These teams have 3 losses. They have 4 losses. That's the kind of record that you need. You win 3 or 4 together and you lose 1. That's what happens. That keeps that fire burning, and it really helps you face adversity. The adversity that's going to come, like I said, during the playoffs. These Dallas Cowboys have caught that fire too soon. They caught it too early. That offensive line is pushing any defensive line, bring them up, and these guys push them back 2 or 3 yards before Ezekiel even gets the ball. I mean, these holes. He gets 5 or 6 yards down the field before he gets freaking touched, and then he gets touched, and then he still gets another 3 or 4 more yards. This guy's phenomenal. I mean, Dak Prescott. is going through his reads. This guy is making all the right plays. If your secondary messes up, oh, you bet you're gonna pay for it, man. There goes Des Bryant, and there goes Dak Prescott throwing a safe deep bomb. That man can throw the ball. I don't want to hear that he can't, but he does it at the right time. They don't force any plays when they don't have to. He's like a gun slinging game manager, if that makes sense. I don't think I've ever heard that term or that combination of terms for anyone, and I don't even think it's appropriate for anyone except Dak Prescott. I think Dak Prescott is like Alex Smith, except Alex Smith can't throw that deep bomb. Dak Prescott, when the heat happens, he can buy time like Big Ben Roethlisberger. He can throw those little out routes, those little screens like Tom Brady. This guy is very intelligent, but again, he is a rookie. I think he caught fire too soon. These guys need to hit adversity. I look at the last four games. I don't think they're losing any of the last four games. Maybe they might lose one. They might lose against the Giants, maybe not. But I don't see them losing more than one game. They caught fire too soon. It's as easy as that. So when I think about the Super Bowl champions of this year, who's got the best shot? And like I said, the last four games of the season is where you start to see the trend. Who's got the best shot? Very easy. Let's get it out of the way. The New England Patriots, they're 10-2. These last few games, they've kind of gone through the rough patch, playing the Jets. Tom Brady looking a little bit hobbled. Gronkowski looks like he's out for the season. That's kind of like the right makeup for this home stretch here of four games. Dion Lewis is back, and him and with the emergence of James White has been, I think, a blessing. Something they did not see coming. LeGarrette Blount being, a premier rusher, they didn't see that coming either. But the suspension of Tom Brady actually allowed for that to actually develop uh, and really take off for him and get his confidence going. So that explains LeGarrette Blount. Martellus Bennett was a great acquisition. I think he's a physical freak, and he can fill in nicely. He, of course, nobody can be Gronk, but this guy does a very good job. So the Patriots have the best, or one of the best chances in actually getting, heating up during that home stretch, as I call it, and really being able to go for the Super Bowl. Another one that you might be surprised with, you may disagree with, but I'm seeing them trend in the right direction, would be the Buccaneers. They've had a very rough season. Doug Martin got hurt early on. It's been tough. But now, Doug Martin's back. They beat the Chiefs at Arrowhead. They beat the Seahawks. They only let 5 points scored that on that Sunday. 5 points scored against the Seahawks. They went and they beat Phillip Rivers. They are trending in the right directions, my friend. Doug Martin has yet to have a big game, and they're beating these high-powered teams. It's just a numbers game. So if he hasn't had his big games yet, when do you think he's going to have them? That's right, during the home stretch. You can look out for big things. Mike Evans, my goodness. I mean, this guy deserves a round of applause. This guy is just a freak. He definitely made Johnny Manziel. Johnny Manziel did not make him, and I think he's shown that. Famous Jameis is a great young talent. He is a gunslinger, but this guy is a smart one, and he's very mobile. I like everything that I see with Jameis Winston, and I like them now. They're moving in the right direction. Expect big things for them in the playoffs. Of course, I'm talking about the people who would be in the playoffs if today started. My third option here would be the Seattle Seahawks. I mean, these guys for the past 4 years have really showed us that they can get really, really hot, especially last year, the second half of the season. Anything can happen, and especially if these guys catch fire, you never know. The Legion of Boom's looking a little bit weak. They've had some problems on the defenses. Thomas is out for the rest of the year, so that's troubling. But the Legion of Boom is the Legion of Boom. They still got Richard Sherman. That guy finds a way to make big plays, whether plays that shouldn't have happened, but there was no flag or anything like that. The guy is there in all the big plays. You can expect big things from him. I think those three teams have the best shot of catching fire at the right time. I think the Cowboys should have got some of those losses out of the way. They didn't, so I do not expect them to win the Super Bowl. And quite frankly, with the whole Tony Romo situation and the cap and different things like that, which we'll get into in a different topic. I think a little bit closer to the end of the year when it's going to be a little bit more appropriate. What do you do with Tony Romo's contract? Do you let him go? Jerry Jones says that he wants him for next year. There's a lot of different things coming up with that, and I promise you we'll get into that. I'll bring on some other people so we can talk about that as well. And then the topic number two is what can we expect here coming up from Dakota Prescott? This is a tough one. I mean, I've looked at his numbers, and he's got one of the top two QBRs in the league. I mean, he's up there with Mr. Brady. He's playing great. He's got a high completion percentage. He's on pace to probably throw about 3,800 yards, which is very, very good. He probably finished the year with about 28, 27 touchdowns, probably about 5 interceptions. Guy's playing great. I kind of see, in a sense, with his style of play, with Cam Newton. Cam Newton last year had a very good year. I mean, he did have better numbers. He had 3,800 passing yards, but his touchdowns were just out of this world. He had 35 touchdowns, 10 rushing touchdowns. Dak is kind of putting up those numbers, of course, not to the same extent on the touchdowns because Dak isn't asked to do all the things that Cam does, but they both have that similar style. Dak actually was really known for his running in college. It wasn't even much his throwing, and throwing is what's being praised at the moment. But I make the comparison about Cam simply because Cam, he has up and down years. Last year phenomenal. This year it's all right. It's nothing compared to what he did the year before that. In 2014, the boy had he had an okay season. The year before that one, he had a phenomenal season. He's kind of up and down, up and down. His rookie year was actually very, very good. I guess you could also even compare him to RG3, at least his rookie year. I'm hearing all these comparisons. Oh, not even a comparison. What am I talking about? I'm hearing claims that this is the best quarterback, running back, rookie combination of all time. And it's not even close. But guys, I'm not even going to give you the numbers. Just go to NFL.com and look up Alfred Morris, RG3 in their rookie year and look at what they did and tell me that that's not very, very similar to what is going on here. That being said, with the history of the Cowboys of just screwing things up, I know they got Stephen Jones making these football decisions, but I think what you have here is going to be a Cam Newton situation, just as a byproduct of being a Dallas Cowboy. The Dallas Cowboy for the last 20 years have just been notorious for messing it up, for making the wrong decisions, bringing the wrong people, paying the wrong people, and I can only see that coming here. Okay, they've had a great season, just like they did in 2014. I mean, it's hard to do these things, but even harder is the consistency behind it. The only really good team in the NFL that you could say the past 10 years are the Patriots. And that takes a Tom Brady to be able to do something like that. Tom Brady, the guy who a lot of people are saying this is the best quarterback of all time. So it's hard for me to believe that Dak Prescott is going to maintain this level of play, even though it is his rookie season. And because it's his rookie season, imagine what he's going to do. I just don't see it. This O-line, who knows, man? Just with the different needs, when you start winning, you got to really start paying a lot of people. So that O-line might be disappearing here soon. I really don't think so because I think the Cowboys are really going to make that a priority. But everything suggests here that the Cowboys will make this up, and they're allergic to prosperity, as Stephen A. Smith says. So I'll pick up more on this because I believe this topic deserves more about how this is a fair comparison between Dak and and Cam Newton. Guys, let me know what you think. Send me a message, give me a call, and let's talk about it. And this podcast will be official coming up in January. Thanks a lot, guys. Enjoy your Sunday.